What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of The Line and the Physique. With me, as always, my good friend Todd Lyons. What is up, Todd?
Not much, right? How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's funny. I kind of reorganized my split the last. I mean, really, it started on Saturday with legs,
Uh-huh.
and so I got a late start to arms today. And between training, kind of reevaluating my training split, moving some exercises around, and then I had 25 minutes of cardio. So I like finished at about 1:59. We're recording at 2 o'clock here. I finished at like 1:59, rushed up here. I'm still sweating. So yeah, man, it was funny. So have you been back? I know you were away on vacation with you and your wife. Did you do any training while you were gone, or?
Yeah, there was one day. There's a gym down there that we go to, Old Town Fitness in Key West, and we hit that up one day. I did a full body split on that day, and then another day, she dragged me to yoga. So I did yoga for over an hour with her, with the missus.
Hot yoga or just like a standard class?
For that climate, everything's hot. It was outdoors, so 90 degrees. All humidity. Yeah, it was rough. It was rough.
That's awesome, dude. So talk to me a little bit. Like when I travel, I would say I travel about twice a year
Mhm.
with my family, and I try to use that time as like a break, just
Mhm.
a both a diet break, a training break. I still try to hit step goals and stuff like that. Like I still try to move around, right? It's not really. I mean, look at my skin tone. I'm not laying on the beaches for too long. So, how do you approach like training when you travel? Is it still a priority? Do you kind of take a volume decrease? Do you look at it as a deload week? Like, what's your approach?
So usually going into the a vacation, I'll have it planned out, like just like in any time during the year where I'm planning out my fitness is the same thing for my when I'm away on vacation. If I do train, I usually try not to. It's more of like you said, step count and everything. Make sure you're getting your steps in, kind of giving your body a break to relax and recover. I mean, if you're away like 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks even, then that's a time to consider. Maybe I need to, get my workouts going back again. But if you're away a week or less, or even a week and a half, you can kind of downplay it a little bit, deload a bit, and then come back and hit it hard. And actually, when you do that and you come back to the gym again, you'll actually probably be able to break some plateaus you might have been stuck at. Your strength might be up through the roof where you were kind of like hovering before if you're having issues. So, what about yourself, Ryan?
I tell myself when I'm away that I'm not going to train at all. But when I go away, I usually try to drop in one training day.
Mm-hmm.
I usually will look at like the travel day. Let's say we travel on a Monday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Monday's a big travel day, right? Your food may be a little unorganized, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday, Wednesday, I really try to stay off, like just off from everything. I might throw in a training day Thursday, and then like maybe Friday's off, and then Saturday we fly home. Right? We're never really gone more than about 5 or 6 days, especially with the baby now. So
Mm-hmm.
we were just in Florida too a couple weeks ago, and we were gone from. I'm totally going to butcher the days. Maybe like a Thursday to a Tuesday. I
Mm-hmm.
worked out. I worked out on Sunday. Just a light shoulder day, more to just kind of check out this really nice local gym anytime I travel, basically dating back to when I worked for Universal and with Animal. It was just like, hey, anytime I travel, I'm going to try to find like a badass gym,
Mm-hmm.
bodybuilding centric, that I'll just enjoy playing with some new toys. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, like you said, like I'm not really in a short period of time, I'm not really tracking, I'm not documenting my workouts like I would at home, or,
Right.
oh, on this prime piece that I may never use again, this is what I did, and this is how many reps, and this is where I should go next week. So it's really just going in. I mean, I could turn what's usually an hour and 10 minute workout into 40 minutes when I'm traveling. I'm really not trying to break any PRs. Are you still trying to hit it hard? I mean, you do a very, very old school train. I mean, you're doing weighted dips and chin ups, and you're still deadlifting. To my knowledge, I've seen some videos of you. You're still deadlifting. I mean, you can really do a lot of those compounds lifts for you personally when you travel. So I don't mean to kind of go forward, but are you still trying to document anything when you're traveling, or is you're kind of just packing it in training to train?
I still bring my logbook with me. I'm kind of a nerd like that. So I know I'm not going to be hitting my personal best because it's usually new equipment that I haven't used before. I'm not trying to go crazy on a vacation. I'm trying to let my body recover from all the work I've been putting in leading up into that vacation. Yeah, like this one, I didn't set any personal records or anything like that, and I never expect to, but just to work yourself through the motions. And plus, it's good too with all the food you eat. Usually, you're eating a lot more calorie-rich foods than what you normally have, so I at least put it to some work. It's not overloading my body with just tons and tons of food and a surplus of calories and not doing anything for it, which the body does need it, but it's also good to kind of like do a less than average workout. That's all right. I mean, I'm not trying to be Mr. Universe right now or anything like that. So it's okay to take a little bit of ease it up a bit when you're out there training and on your vacations.
Sure. What now? Let's kind of transition a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
What is how so when I would check in with my coach, I was checking in on Fridays. So
Mm-hmm.
I looked at kind of my block from Saturday to Friday, right? It wasn't really a Sunday to a Saturday like most people's normal week, right? Like it just kind of happened that way. So now I'm wired that way where my training block starts on a Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me a little bit about, if you're checking in on a Friday for yourself and
Mm-hmm.
you're kind of making changes for the week, are you starting the day of your check-ins? Do you start on a Saturday? Are you programming it so like, okay, here's what I look like today. We're going to write it out on Saturday and maybe Sunday's the start of the week. Let's talk a little bit about, how you program your diet into how, what your training splits look like right now.
So for me, it's pretty regimented. It's generally I lift 4 days a week. I do the upper lower splits. It's worked for me for most of my life. I prefer that way. If I have, it's basically I break it down into like four separate workouts, two for upper, two for lower. Whatever I do for lower on the first day, I'll do differently on the lower for the second day of that week. Same thing with upper, and I'll do a certain amount of exercise I have preset, and then I'll change it on the next upper body day. I base my calories kind of how what the scale is saying, but also how I'm feeling. Sometimes if I get to that second group of workouts and I'm kind of dragging up until that point, that's where I'm upping my calories to give myself more energy. And sometimes if I feel good, I'll keep my calories at that level. And that's worked pretty well for me, I think. What about you, Ryan?
Before we move in, I
Mm-hmm.
would ask, let's say you have like a high day, a moderate day, and a low day, right? Are you differentiating that? Because you've highlighted in the past, and we
Mm-hmm.
talked about this on last week's episode. It could be something as simple as just removing a meal from a day.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you have like a food split, I guess you could say, where a moderate day and a low day may be the exact same, with the exception of like, hey, I just don't eat that fifth at that third or fourth meal, or is it like, no, moderate day is 95 grams of fat, a low day is 45 grams of fat. Is that making sense? Maybe I'm not wording it right.
No, you are. My biggest determiner in what I'm taking out or adding in or increasing or decreasing is always based around carbohydrates. I keep my proteins and everything pretty much the same. If the weight's going up, I'll make sure that the protein goes up with it because that means I'm obviously gaining, and the body's going to need a little bit more protein to maintain that lean muscle mass. I'll go up a little bit. Maybe I'll add an extra egg here, a little bit more egg whites, maybe an extra piece of meat or something like that. I'll just add a little bit more to it, but it's mostly the carbohydrates that I'm really playing around with. I'll have my low days and my high days with carbs.
You measuring your stuff?
Not really. No, I've been doing this long. Like just, I know my body. I know my body. I know what it's going to look like the next day if I eat this amount or that amount.
I said it before, man. You're a fucking anomaly. Anybody that listens to this is like, what bodybuilder on the cusp of a pro card at any level in any organization doesn't weigh their food? You're like, oh yeah, a little bit more egg whites. I'm like, a little bit more egg whites. We got how many? Let's go. Um, no, man. I just tease you.
Yeah,
I tell you all the time. It's awesome to see how how you're able to do that. So yeah, man. I mean, a little bit about my training split and
yeah.
my diet right now. For the last probably just 2 weeks, give or take, the last couple weeks, I've been uh, all low days with one moderate day.
Mhm.
And I've been so it's anywhere from 1,900 calories on my low days to about 2,400 calories on my moderate days. Still 5 meals a day. It's just a matter of, yeah, fats and carbs.
Mhm.
So my training split, man, this might, I'm going to see your eye twitch a little bit here, but I'm training 6 days a week.
Whoa.
Yeah, 6 days a week with 6 cardio sessions a week. My rest day is Friday, which is like my check-in day,
Hmm.
and then it's total rest. If I push for 10,000 steps every day, 7 days a week, and
Hmm.
that just increased in the last couple weeks as well. I we're just dieting down. We might have something in sight, but I don't mean to beat a dead horse. With a lot of scheduling changes are going to happen for me and my family in the next couple weeks. So I don't want to commit to anything, which will contradict, some of the things I've said in the past about, you have to pick a show and you have to, dive right in. So we're taking it easy. We have 1 to 2 cheat meals a week, depending on what I do with the family.
Hmm.
I'm not restricting myself, but I'm pushing hard on those low days, the moderate days I look forward to. So my training split right now, Saturdays we're looking at a full leg day, quad focus with one hamstring movement, which is I just start the workout with a seated or a lying hammy curl.
Hmm.
Saturday, excuse me, that's a Saturday. So Sunday we have our first pull day, which is an upper back focus, which is back and traps with light lats. I do like a single arm row for lower lats at the end of that back movement. That's on Sunday. Monday we move into our push A, which is delt and chest focused. So again, 4 shoulder exercises with one chest movement at the end. Chest we're hitting, so those singular movements I'm hitting 4 working sets on.
Hmm.
So that chest, I'm doing 2 to 3 working sets for delts throughout, and then we're hitting 4 working sets for chest at the end.
Hmm.
Tuesday today, I just wrapped up an arm day. I just need it. I've tried adding arms at the end of a push day or at the end of a pull day, throw biceps in. I've tried biceps before legs. Um, it just hasn't been enough. Like I just need the volume of an arm day. I'm doing 9 working sets for bis, 9 working sets for tris. So it's a lot. And then I'm throwing in 4 working sets of cast at the end. I noticed when I was doing the old school pull push legs,
Hmm.
I was in the gym for like 90 minutes, man. And I know that might not sound like a lot of time, but let me rephrase. I was training for almost 90 minutes.
Wow.
So, it's I've always been a big proponent of doing some type of warm up. So whether it be mobility work, walking on the treadmill, kind of getting the lay of the land in the gym to see who's on what pieces of equipment if I'm going to need it, and just kind of letting the pre workout kick in, finding that motivation, watching some good YouTube videos, I think is always beneficial, especially if if you're forcing yourself into the gym. It's a good way to kind of get motivated while you're like I said, getting a lay of the land.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I mean, I would do 4 working sets of side raises, 3 working sets of an incline press, 3 working sets of a flat press, machine flies for 2 to 3 working sets. Then I was going back to some type upright rows or some type of shoulder movement or another side raise. Then I was going into triceps. I was doing 2 movements of 3 working sets. And it was like, man, it was a lot of volume. And especially when you're pull push legs off. As a natural competitor, there were days, man, like I was just not recovering in time.
Hmm.
And so I know that my split, as I'm kind of breaking it down, might seem a little silly because it's like you're saying pull, you're saying push, you're saying legs. It's really pull, push, legs with an arm day, pull, push, legs, no arm day. Um, but it just seems to work for me. It's still high volume on those days, but I'm giving myself like 2 to 3 days rest in between. I feel good. Like I don't feel beaten down. I definitely think I train hard enough. So, um, but I digress. So Saturday's full leg day.
Hmm.
Sunday is a upper back focus back day. Monday is a shoulder focus push day. Then we have arms on Tuesday. Then we have a back, more of a lat and hamstring focus day. So it's really only 3 back movements, 2 hamstring movements, including like a deadlift or an RDL. Then I go my chest focus push day, which are side raises, and then I'm resting again on Friday. So
Hmm.
yeah, man, it's been fun. Like I said, I'm really only in my second block of attempt, trying this out. My
Hmm.
recovery feels good, especially since my calories are low.
Hmm.
And until I'm starting to feel a little beat up, I mean, we're going to ride this out for the foreseeable future. Again, with some changes coming up in my personal life, I think my training is definitely going to cut back significantly, maybe to that 4 or 5 days a week,
Hmm. Hmm.
which is more normal. Um, but we'll have to reassess then. So right now I'm just using the time that I have, being a good husband, a good dad. There's stuff on the horizon I'm excited for, but I want to train. I want to train right now. That's where I enjoy being, is in the gym. We have the dungeon at home. For anybody who follows me on Instagram, they know that like I just can walk right downstairs. So it's hard to also not want to train when it's that accessible, right? A lot of people will say like, "Oh, I'll take a rest day because I don't want to drive to the gym." I don't have that problem. It's 15 steps right out of my kitchen. So I hope that answered your question. I know I kind of owned a little bit of the time there and really picked apart my split, but 6 training days, 6 cardio days, 1 rest day.
That's a lot. That's a lot. I mean, my cardio is probably about 6 or 7 days a week. That's where I keep my cardio up. But like my lifting is just 4 days, so 6 days lasts a lot for me. I've talked to people before about this, and through a lot of my uh, research through the years, is that like there's two important things. One is the ability to do the work, but also the biggest thing is to recover from the work. So if you feel like you're recovering from the work and you're showing progress and everything, then that works for you, and then keep it up. For me, I found the 4 days a week lifting that's my sweet spot, so I stick with that, and I can recover from that no problem.
You know what, dude? I noticed too, like
Mm-hmm.
just from a mental health perspective, and I know you and I don't really get into this kind of stuff, so this will be new territory for us. But just from a mental health, man, like I just realized, like on the days that I rest or when I was training 5 days a week, like those rest days, my wife will tell you, I was just like anxious, like I was. You sit on the couch for so long, right? Like my son loves to sit in the family room and play with his trucks, right? So I'm sitting on the couch for like 2 hours at a time. And then it's like, oh, I still got to go to the grocery store. Oh, we want to go out and play, or we want to do this. And I'm like, nah, I don't really want to. I just want to sit at home, and that'll cause some friction too. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
my rest days were like, oh man, like I just wasn't looking forward to them, or I was stressed, or I'm sitting around all day, and then we have family over, and that causes what it does, and it's just like, man, like if I just train and I have these hour and a half to 2 hours to myself, it's gonna make other avenues of my day just feel better. I'm gonna, well, I just stepped away from being a dad for 2 hours. Like now I'm, let's go to the playground, let's go take him to the food store, let's do this and that. Whereas when I'm sitting on the couch all day, it's like, oh, all right, like I'm just going to be here. If Declan's going to play here, I'm just going to sit and play with him. And yeah, man, it just got to the point where I was like, man, my mental health was taking a dive on those rest days, because I was like, well, I can train 4 days a week. It'll help me recover. Those 3 days of rest, man, were brutal.
Mm-hmm.
And I really think the best progress I ever saw was back in like that 2019 to 2020, late 2020, maybe mid 2020, right before COVID, because it was one day on, one day off, one day on, one day off, repeat. But I was in the office,
Mm-hmm.
and I haven't had that since COVID started. So,
Okay.
on those rest days, I was still working from, 8 to 5. And then by the time you get home, you want to be present. So it was easier working as a remote employee. It's like, man, I've been sitting around on the couch typing on my laptop for the last 6 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I got to do something. I got to do some type of physical activity or my head's going to explode.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the last probably 3 or 4 months, being that I've been unemployed, man, I mean, without training, I would be a mess.
Mm-hmm.
Do you realize in your own personal life that like, are you dragging ass to get to the gym? Do you enjoy those rest days because you have other avenues like work, or you do something with your wife, stuff like that? I'm not saying I don't do anything with my family on my rest days, right? Like there are good days. Um, I'm not saying every rest day was this miserable mental health nightmare. But how do you cope with maybe being out of the gym and kind of enjoying that break?
Um, it all comes down to like personality wise, I guess. One thing I've noticed in all my years of coaching is that people can become addicted to exercise. Like you can become addicted to anything. And I've seen people break their bodies down too much because they didn't want to give it a break, and along with their mental health without them realizing it. They're like, "Oh, I'm fit. I'm doing this and that." And it's like, well, yeah, you are, but you pretty much don't have a life. Like your life revolves around literally just working out. Like you're not growing your friendships or your work life or your career or anything else. You're just only focused on the gym, which is fine if that's what your job is to be a professional bodybuilder or athlete or whatever. That's fine. That's your job. But like if it's not your job, then sometimes you need to take a step back or whatever. And as much as it hurts, in the long run, your body will get used to taking these little breaks or whatever. And I think it helps too by taking these breaks that as your body recovers a bit better, your workouts go up. Weekends, I get in like, early morning, Saturday, Sunday, I can train. Those are usually my best days. The weekday ones, they're so, and I kind of have to, force myself to get to the gym and, try to fight off all the masses there in the gym, trying to take all the equipment. Those ones are so, but the weekend ones are the ones I look forward to because it's like, okay, I can do what I want, take my time. There's no rush here, and get through it. So it's interpersonal dependent for each person. But for me, I think if I was in there all the time, which I have been, I've done that in the past. I made that mistake. It kind of, messed with my mental health or whatever. So by stepping back a bit, it's make me, I think, better in the long run.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now you said you were, even though you're only training 4 days a week, you're still doing cardio 6, 7 days.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And what are those looking like? What are you doing for cardio?
Cardio is usually either running, which I love. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, that guy's runs," and I do. I love running, and the Stairmaster is my other buddy that I do with my cardio sessions. Those are my main 1-2 punches for cardio.
How long are you going for your sessions?
Um, if I'm off-season mode like I am now, my cardio is reduced. So I'll do if I do stairs around 40 something minutes or so for me on stairs. And then my running, I'm right about the same 40 to 50 minutes or so for running. But when I do get into it and I'm like going towards a show, I'm upping it each week by a little bit, further and further. I just have to make sure in those days that's where I'm getting more of my calories on. When I'm pushing those levels, I'm getting the calories in to keep things going.
Yeah, I mean that's super important too. And you touched on
Mhm.
making sure that there's calorie around those training sessions, not just looking at it as like, oh well, I had a 2,000 calories today, so I'm good.
Mhm.
Are you programming your calories? And I'm actually posing the question: are you
Mhm.
putting your calories around your training sessions? Are you putting your calories around your cardio sessions? Are you putting them later in the day, depending on when you train?
I'll split like today I lifted and after that I go home and I make sure I have a ton of carbs and some proteins. That way I'm able to go out like I did before I got on this call and do cardio and knock out some cardio. So that's what I'll do. I'll focus like more of a replenishment of carbohydrates before I train. If a lifting session happened before that, I'll do that. That's when I really focus a lot more carbohydrates and calories on that to give myself the fuel to make it through.
Yeah, right now I'm kind of training around uh, Declan's nap times, which is usually around like 12:30 to 2:30.
Uh-huh.
So I'm able to get, that first meal in. I can't eat first thing in the morning. For anybody who's watched this, has heard me say it before. Like I can't wake up at 7 and eat at 7:30. Like I'm waking up around 7 and I'm not eating sometimes till about 9:30.
Mm.
I don't consider myself like a faster. Like it's not intentional. It's just digestion first thing in the morning. I can't wake up and eat. So I would say like I eat around, let's say, 9:30, and then I usually start the process of getting ready to train around 11. So I'm giving myself about a 90-minute window.
Mm.
I train, then I'm kind of tapering my carbs up throughout the day. I just notice it's easier on my stomach.
Mhm.
As the day goes on, I'm getting more and more hungry. So it's usually a relatively light breakfast right now with my low days. We're looking at around 45 to 50 grams of protein,
Mhm. Mhm.
around 45 to 50 grams of carbs, but only about 8 grams of fat.
Mhm.
When I start dieting down, the first thing to come down pretty significantly is fats. Then we start cutting the carbs down after that. So yeah, I mean, and then I'll kind of go into another moderate fat meal. Maybe it's like beef with rice and veggies and something like that post workout. And then again, it increases throughout the day to the point where like my last meal of the day is a protein shake and a carb source. Or right now, I'm really liking chicken with like a bagel, and
Mhm.
I'm making like this sandwich right before the end of the day. But I do feel better the next day, especially if I'm trying to train earlier or depending around maybe that. Listen, I have no type of nutritional background. I just go on what feels good. But kind of eating that larger meal at the end of the night may be affecting how my digestion is in the morning. But I don't feel it in a negative way. So I'm just like you said, I just kind of keep riding that out. So yeah, man, I just when you're riding out of low calories, you just kind of put them where you can.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really focus so much on like, oh, I got to get X amount of carbs in before I train or I'm going to feel this way. I always kind of think like, as long as I'm getting these calories in a day, whatever's easy on digestion, whatever allows. Look, I don't want to eat and then feel like I'm in the bathroom a couple times while I'm training or something like that. So I do provide a little bit of a window between that pre-workout meal and the post-workout. It's actually funny. I'll eat my first meal, like I said, around 9:30. Then I don't eat again until like 2.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then I eat at 4 and then 5:30 and then like so then they go from like a 3-hour block, then I train, then there's like another hour block, and then it's an hour and a half because I try to get everything in by like 10 o'clock. I don't want to be trying to eat at like 11 o'clock sitting in bed. So
Right.
yeah, man, have you ever have you ever had any type of dietary issues or restrictions where you always felt like, hey, this is what a bodybuilder does, right? Chicken and baked potato, or this or that, or it's got to be a white potato versus a sweet potato and stuff like that, or white rice versus brown rice. Have you ever had any type of dietary restrictions or things you had to pull or put in based on digestive issues, how it makes you train, how you feel the next day?
For me, I things that are like usually like very high. I know sodium is important. Your body won't function unless you have sodium, and I find that like my body is a hyper responder to sodium, so my blood pressure, will go up a little bit. I'll notice it because I do monitor my blood pressure regularly, and I'll do notice that if I have too much of it, like let's say I went out and had a big meal, it'll be a bit higher the next day, and I have to kind of watch that because it pushes up my blood pressure, my heart rate, all other stuff, and then once I get that out of my system, it all comes back down to like numbers that I'm looking for. So that's one thing I kind of keep an eye on is my salt intake and sodium intake from that. But outside of that, usually I stick with pretty much the basics. They work, fish, chicken, beef, sweet potato, regular potato, even pasta. I prefer rice is okay for me, but I prefer probably pastas and more starchy stuff. I prefer more. My body likes starches better than it does something like rice.
Yeah, I can't do brown rice. Digests so slow, absolutely kills my stomach. Can't do sweet potato, same thing. I don't know why. Protein powders, dude. This is a kind of a new discovery, so this is kind of some breaking news here. Phasing them out entirely. Can't do an isolate. Can't do a whey. Can't do a plant. Can't do a vegan. It kills me.
I don't like protein shakes as it is. I mean, if it's that or a ton of candy or something like that, then fine. But for me, I remember listening to one guy, Steve Maxwell. I actually interviewed him ages ago over the phone, and that's one thing he talked about was that like humans are so naive that they think that they can simply isolate something without any consequences to it. I mean, why do you need to eat or drink a protein shake when you can simply eat a piece of chicken? It's going to have all the protein in it, but also have other nutrients and micronutrients inside that you're not going to get from those protein shakes.
I mean, I do think from working in the industry for as long as I did, I do think they have their place.
Hmm.
So I'm not going to say like, hey, don't do a protein shake. But like the last probably 3 or 4 days specifically, I'm doing 120 grams of grilled chicken with cream of rice and strawberries and a little bit of peanut butter in there to give it some added fats. And goes down just fine.
Yeah,
I'm not sitting there force feeding myself. Do I think I could do it with flounder? Definitely not. I'm not mixing fish or salmon in with a breakfast cereal. I do think protein powders have their place, but I don't think they're a make or break, right? Like I don't think you're any less of a bodybuilder if you say oh, I don't do protein shakes, that's for amateurs. And vice versa. I don't think by us saying like, hey, I eat chicken with my first meal, like makes me more hardcore than you. It's like, no, I just have to do it for digestive purposes.
mhm.
Um, I think a lot of people just assume like, oh, if I'm going to be a bodybuilder or if I'm going to train, I have to take a pre-workout with caffeine. I have to drink energy drinks. I have to have a protein shake. I have to drink aminos during my workout. It's like, that might be the stuff that you see online, but the age old phrase of that may not work for you
Mhm.
um, is kind of the great message to send here. No,
Exactly. I mean, if you want to talk about our military days, like when you had MREs and everything, they didn't put protein packets in there. They gave you some kind of food or vegetable that was your protein, depending on which one you picked, a vegetarian or the regular dish. I would think that the military, if they thought that we needed protein powder, they would have put it in there. But their doctors and everything, through many years of research, have decided not to give us that in our MRE packets.
they always tell you, right? If the army thought you should, well, if the military thought you should have it, they'd issue you one, right?
Exactly.
If the military thought you should have a wife, they'd issue you one. If they thought you needed protein powder, they'd have given it to you.
Yep. Exactly.
Um, Yeah, man. Any final thoughts? Anything you want to wrap up on here? This was an awesome episode. I know we've talked about training splits and cardio and expectations. It's kind of a weird time for us that to not be in like a contest prep and be able to kind of bounce what's going on there off each other, but really just kind of life things that we've had the opportunity to talk about lately and travel and being present and stuff is awesome. So anything you want to add in, anything coming up for you? I know we kind of always sprinkle these into the end of the episode, but give me some Todd wisdom. What's going on.
Um, well, also too, I know we talked about beforehand, but tanning. I like to tan. I find that like when you throw that into your workouts, like to just take a break to tan, it kind of relaxes the body and calms the mind down a bit. I wouldn't suggest for people that are prone to skin cancers or anything like that, but if you're not prone to it, I think it helps, like to kind of calm the mind down, kind of like a meditation session when you're just sitting there absorbing that vitamin D from the sun. And also, I think that it does help you when you do get a tan.
100%.
When you have a base where you're pale and you throw this spray tan on, then you get under the lights and you're sweating and it starts to run and you see the streaks and the judges I know look at that. There was a trainer at my gym that I go to over here, where I live with my wife, and I was talking to him because he competed for the NPC, and he actually won the middleweight category he was in years ago. And there was a guy, I think the class above him, where the guy had a better body than the number two guy. And it was either the expediter or one of the judges came back there and basically said, if you don't get a tan on in the next 5 minutes to 10 minutes, you are not winning the show. So he had to quickly find somebody to put spray tan on him to get him on stage to win. So tanning is important, I think, for a lot of people when they get on stage. And if you can get a chance to go, relax again, if you don't have any skin cancer issues in your family and get a little tan in, I think it can kind of help you mentally.
Yeah, not to contradict you,
Good,
or play
good.
devil's advocate, man. I wanted that, right? Like my wife and I, for my last contest for last year, basically, we were going 2-3 times a week, and I couldn't do the lay down beds. I had to do the stand up. I don't know if it was just laying on the beds or what, but dude, I was breaking out in rashes all over my back. I was getting, sunspots. It was scary. So I was like, we do the stand up bed once a week, which I think gave me a decent base tan. And I started exfoliating a little early. So I started exfoliating at about 10 days out from
Okay.
the show. That did help my tan stick. So I
Good.
was I was happy there. I'm a very white Irish boy. Like I said, I don't spend a lot of time in that sun, so it is difficult, man. And for somebody who has such sensitive skin, it's like, oh yeah, I'll start tanning, in the off season, dude. It kills me. And the sun poisoning, just laying, there were days where I would wake up the day after hitting a tanning booth and I'd be like sick to my stomach, like I felt like I was on a boat, and I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Oh.
So yeah, super sensitive to the UV. So I had to be delicate with it. But I do agree with you. It's not really unfortunate in any way. It's just it's a part of the process. So
Mhm.
we had to make it work. It was also something to do with my wife. Um, Declan was only 3 or 4 months old, so it was easy to get the three of us out of the house and do that together. So there was a handful of reasons why it was beneficial,
Mhm.
and I think that kind of took priority. Was like, hey, it's just something I get to do with my wife.
Mhm.
And yeah, it holds such a, I see so many people affected by poor tans
Mhm.
come show day because, maybe they're just, naturally a darker tone or have, a darker pigmentation. So they're like, oh, I don't really need to tan as much. And it's like, to your point, it's like, well, if you're going to hold water and, you're going to get a spray tan, which you have to do,
Hmm.
it's going to show and it's going to run and it's going to look like a mess.
Hmm.
Dude, great episode. A
Yep.
lot of fun. I think, we covered a lot of our personal splits, a lot of our cardio. Man, hopefully we have some things on the horizon that we start chatting it up about. Like I said earlier, it was a kind of a blink and you miss it moment, but might be something
All
depending
right.
on what the schedule's looking like. We are dieting down. I don't
Okay.
like to diet for nothing. I do like to have a light at the end of the tunnel. So if I'm gonna skip my McDonald's and my Wendy's, my Baconators, there better be a good reason. But dude, thank you so much. I know you had a crazy weekend. I appreciate you making the time for me as always. And thank you, everybody, for stopping by the framework.
Take care.